Hey everyone, how's it going? Pixels here and welcome to an Evil Dead the Game video. It has been a while since I've done a video for this game. It's been over a month and my last video was a podcast basically suggesting is this the end of Evil Dead the game. Unfortunately, that's kind of come true. What I was hoping, with the restructuring going on over at Saber, obviously they fired the community manager, which was really good because, the dude was fucking amateur hour communicating with the player base and the entire community and bragging about his trips to Japan to us and shit. Like, it was totally irrelevant and the guy sucked. You could tell this was his first ever game, and unfortunately, with the whole Embracer Group stuff, he got the sack. He tried to say that he built an entire team up from scratch there or something. If that's true, then props to him. However, I have yet to see any type of good development community wise around this studio. I don't know what Saber's doing right now. Is kind of pathetic, but I still have this little twinkle of hope in my brain that we will get something soon. With Tim Willits saying that they're talking to their partners to make stuff happen. They were a bit more vocal on Twitter. I'm not sure why when TCM come out they decided to tweet at us and say, hey, he's a level 22 Cheryl build from some random person on YouTube. I don't know where that come from or why they think that would be ever well received from anyone in the Evil Dead community. From the state of the game it was in right now, sharing a Cheryl build was not the answer to our problems or questions, and they just need to have this, like, just get transparent with us. They really do. And I could do this for an entire fucking podcast ranting about the ins and outs of and do's and don'ts of what they've been doing through the community and throughout this entire lifespan of this game. And yes, I have not abandoned the game. Before people ask me in the comments, I have not abandoned the game. I will go back to it and stream it now and then. I'm not gonna totally abandon the game until like new DLC comes out or something. I'm just having a lot of fun on TCM right now and covering that game, and it's kind of a nice distraction. And if something does happen for Evil Dead within me covering TCM, then I'll be more than happy to go back to the game because it is my favorite horror franchise, and to this day I still believe it's the best ASIM game ever made. I've definitely not had as much fun on any other ASIM game than I did with Evil Dead, and it's frustrating really because I covered this game since it got announced. I played both betas. I met so many amazing people in my community that found the channel, and just made a lot of new friends as well. It's just been a very nice experience being in the Evil Dead community, and I definitely don't want to ever abandon that, unless I'm kind of forced to, just because the game is dead or whatever. If the game dies, there's literally nothing I can do really other than do the odd stream of doing some private matches with people or something, which I'll still be open to do that just to have a little bit of fun here and there on Evil Dead the game. However, like I said, I still have this little twinkle of hope in my brain that they are, with the restructuring program that's going on over at Saber and Embracer Group, that they're gonna kind of kick things off again, give a big redemption to the game. I really hope it happens. I think it's possible. They even started trying to do these Saber weekly streams, which is kind of intriguing because it's a bit bizarre. They always go on and stream World War Z. I'm not sure why they think World War Z is their biggest game. Maybe it's because of the Steam player count, I don't know, but the game came out years ago, and it's kind of it is a really fun game, don't get me wrong. It still has a decent player base, but I think Evil Dead itself is just a whole bigger franchise, and even if you look on Twitter and stuff, the Evil Dead account has more followers than the World War Z account, and things like that. I think Saber need to be looking at that and thinking maybe we need to stop putting all of our eggs in one basket, that is World War Z, and maybe start looking at this game. But that's topic for another video. In this video, I owed you guys this video from my streams. You all asked me to make it, in which was the potential crossover that was going to happen with Stranger Things, amongst others as well. There was a few crossovers. I'm not entirely sure which ones exactly. Apart from Stranger Things, I know that there was a bunch of other IP holders from other horror licenses contacting Saber to actually get their content in the game. So that would have been interesting to see as well. But I'm just going to bring up some of the messages I got from the developer. Me and this developer worked hard to get Stranger Things to actually happen for Evil Dead the game. And okay, so before we begin, I just want to make one thing very clear. I'm in the same boat as you guys. I know a lot of people would be thinking to themselves, why is he making this video? Why is he suggesting we get a Stranger Things crossover when the game's dead, or you know, something along those lines? Like, we don't need Stranger Things. I totally agree. I wanted to see all the original content in the game from Ash vs Evil Dead, the potential of the season 4 content, you know, post-apocalyptic wasteland, you know, the finale Ash stuff, all that good stuff. I would have just loved to see that in the game. I'm in the same boat as you guys. Me wanting Stranger Things in the game was something completely different to being like, oh, I'm only going to play Evil Dead the game because if they add Stranger Things or something. That's not what I'm here for Evil Dead at all. I really wanted it in the game because it would have been an interesting crossover, for one thing. And, you know, we would have seen Stranger Things in a whole new light of, like, gore, which I think would have been really cool. Like, just sit there for 5 minutes, go in your heads a little bit, just imagine the potential there on the demon side of things of, you know, seeing Vecna as the boss unit, the Demogorgon as the elites, mind-flayed human beings as, like, the basic units. You know, that's just a quick concept off the top of my head. And then you're looking at, like, this is what's happened with Stranger Things in other crossovers, is that they've always just been skins with, you know, little perks attached to them. Just imagine bringing the character to the game like Steve Harrington, for example, and this dude has his own weapon mastery. He has his own built-in perks. He's a totally unique character. Something completely different to just being a skin that we have seen in every other crossover, which is why I kind of pushed to make a crossover happen in this game with a developer, because I just thought that it would have been, like, shown Stranger Things in a totally new light. It would have been great for both franchises going forward as well. You know, a lot of people picking up Evil Dead the game because they seen, you know, Steve Harrington was in it, and you could play as Vecna. You know, just the hype around that would have been really cool. And, you know, just bringing all the people towards the Evil Dead license, you know, making the player base just this kind of huge community as well would have been fantastic. So that's how I seen Stranger Things, and it's not like I'm just fanboying and saying, yeah, fucking add Stranger Things. There was a lot of reason behind why I chose it, and the lore behind Evil Dead the game kind of warrants a crossover to happen. And it's not like Ash hasn't crossed over with anything before Evil Dead. You know, you look at the comics, you know, you got like Xena Warrior Princess there, you've got Vampirilla, I think it is, you've got Marvel zombie crossovers in the comic, like, you got all this stuff. And, you know, I feel like if we started focusing on content from the movies and the TV show and adding comic crossovers and all the good stuff that happens in the comics within the game as well, this game could have been fucking huge. Like, it still has the potential to be huge. I think it's just down to the IP holders as well to make that happen. Obviously, it just feels like they don't care about that. But like I said, I owed you guys this video, and I really want to show you guys the evidence of why Stranger Things was going to happen within this game. Like, there wasn't even a question if it was going to happen. It was going to happen. Like, I pretty much got to confirm from a developer that it was going to happen, and I don't know what happened down the line, but we were supposed to have it this year. But I will show you guys the messages. And anyways, but before we get into the messages, I just want to quickly say that this kind of all spurred from me discovering Stranger Things concept art within the game's concept art book that you get with the collector's edition. So if you guys have the collector's edition, if you don't, I'll probably just put a picture up on the video of it. But you can see there's actually 4 outfits there. Yeah, they're only concept art images, but all 4 of these outfits were actually in the Stranger Things TV series. It took me a while to hunt them down. Like, one was Nancy's, 2 of them were like Steve's friends from season 1, and one of them was Jonathan Byers. So I asked the dev about this. I was like, oh, I noticed there was some Stranger Things concept art within the game's collector's edition book, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to push for a crossover to happen for Stranger Things within the game, and he asked me for my help, basically. So if you guys have been following me since this game come out, I actually made a crossover or concept DLC for Stranger Things that you can go check out. I'll probably pin the link to that video in the description for those of you who want to check it out. I made it quite professional though. You know, I did a whole metric thing. You know, what could Stranger Things bring to Evil Dead? What's the benefits of having it there? You know, basically just inflating the player base, getting sales, getting eyes on the Evil Dead franchise, all that good stuff. But you can go check it out. And anyways, okay, so we're just going to jump into the messages right now. And You know, some of these will be taken a bit out of context because we're talking about other things as well, like adding new maps, balance and issues and stuff. So, okay, so the first message I want to highlight from the developer here was, yes, we've been watching all reports and fixed all we could without imbalance in the game. It's not an easy task. There's more than 84 skeletal meshes. Fucking hell, I can't say meshes without trying to say messages. And crossplay. Hope we make it good for everyone. About new maps, it sounds complicated, but I'm fighting for Stranger Things. This can happen. Maybe if you make a video telling a Stranger Things content will be a huge step for the game and bring more players, it will help. So take a, you know, what he says, it's heavily translated, or it's badly translated. Obviously he is a Spanish developer and English isn't his first language, so you know, he does have a few typos here and there. That's why the message seems a bit rudimentary, but yeah, you know, he was asking me for my help to make a Stranger Things crossover happen. I was like, wow, I can't believe that a developer for Evil Dead the game, my favorite horror franchise, asking me for help to make a Stranger Things crossover happen. Like, I couldn't believe the position I was in with that. And honestly, as we dive deeper into the messages, I was just getting more and more hyped up throughout this kind of scenario happening. So the next one from him was, well, I think Stranger Things DLC can be huge, but I must prove that customers want it. You have a strong place in the community, so it will definitely help me, of course. Thanks, Chris, to enjoy the work we make. So yeah, like I said, hard to understand sometimes with his wording, but so he wanted my help basically to prove that the customers want it, and I just briefly explained there that's what my video was about. I went back and showed the metrics, the boost of the player base that happened for Dead by Daylight with you know, adding the Halloween stuff, how many viewers the game got on Twitch when they added Stranger Things, you know, how many people flooded to the game when they added Stranger Things, only on Steam, of course, because obviously I don't have access to the metrics for console. And, you know, I was just trying to do my best to convince the IP holders, because I knew my video was going to be sent to like the directors at the Embracer group, Diversion 3, you know, I just knew it was going to be sent around to those guys. I think even Bruce Campbell watched it to try and, you know, convince them that, yes, this is good for the game. This is good for the franchises as a whole. You know, people are going to pick up a Netflix subscription who play Evil Dead the game because maybe they've never seen Stranger Things and, you know, they like Steve Harrington or they like Vecna, or they're interested in the lore, the backstory behind these characters. And the same thing goes for Evil Dead. You know, people picking up Evil Dead the game because they can play as Steve Harrington, or they can play as Hopper, or Nancy Wheeler. You know, they can play as their favorite characters within the game, and they're really uniquely designed, and they're like, what is this game? You know, what is Evil Dead? What is it about? And then they go check out Evil Dead stuff. So, you know, coming together, I think it would have been just kind of the perfect crossover. Obviously I would have liked to see other things like Resident Evil and all that good stuff as well, but I think just to sort of start off to boost the player base numbers, I think Stranger Things was definitely a good option there. Hit it like it or hate it, okay? I know you guys die-hard Evil Dead fans, you probably don't want to see Stranger Things, but you know, crossovers happen in games. It's 2023. Okay, so the next message was me saying hi, insert name. I managed to get the Stranger Things video out earlier this week. It seems to have done well. Quite a lot of people for it to happen. Hopefully it helps to convince the IP holders. And he was really excited that I did the video. He wanted to check out the video. And, you know, this message went throughout the entire day. He didn't send this all at once, but he said, let me check this. I was just waiting for him to reply. A few hours later, he said, yes, we're on our way with Campbell to make this happen. I'll send you a video now. It's a good news, Chris, this for me, thanks a lot, smiley face. So I was very excited there because I was like, oh, he's getting Bruce Campbell on board to try and make this happen within the game. I was like, man, this is gonna be huge. And you know, my hype was just building up even more. He said they watched the video, it's in a good way. Evil Dead the game has a very good player ratio due to the production market restriction. Evil Dead had only a budget and target the players in the United States. This game is in top 4 on the US servers, so they decided yesterday to expand the game to Steam and Europe, but it will take time. So this was actually the 9th of July when we were talking about the game coming to Steam and Europe. No, so this game came on Steam 4 months ago. So Evil Dead started to be competitive, and crossover contract will come soon. I'm pretty sure it means crossover content will come soon. We have a new demon on the way, the Bruja. So the Bruja was actually Plaguebringer, and I didn't even understand who that was, because of the Bruja to me is obviously the witch. I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be Sheila. That's just who I thought, you know, it's gonna be like Evil Sheila or something. It was weird that he called her the witch, and I was like, who else could it possibly be? And then obviously we got Plaguebringer, but so yeah, it was kind of good that, you know, he kept me updated with the ongoing discussions with Embracer Group and stuff. And so we'll move on to the next message. So he said, from Evil Dead 2013, there is 3 survivors coming. And this is why I told everyone that I think Eric was supposed to be in the game, because, you know, I was told there was 3 survivors coming. It could have just been a typo from him, but he was meant to say 2 survivors. But imagine if it was 3 survivors and 1 got cut, and they cut Eric. I think that would have been pretty interesting. But anyways, he said, all directors from Embracer Group and Divergent 3 watched your Stranger Things crossover video, and a couple of more with this idea from other users. I think we're in a good way. So again, just keep me updated that, you know, the directors at Embracer Group watched my video and Divergent 3, and they were pretty convinced to add this crossover to the game, and again, just brought me more hype for it to happen. And so we'll go on to the next one, and I think this was the final message that I actually pretty much almost got from him, because something happened after, you know, this is in the 5th of August right now. Something happened after that. I wouldn't say I got blacklisted, but because I'm a content creator, they had like a scrubber going through all their messages basically, and, you know, they kind of had to cut ties with talking with me. But, you know, we were in a discussion to actually add my logo to the game as well as an Easter egg. He was going to add it in as an update. I sent my logo over to him and stuff. But the last thing I heard from him was about, you know, them not working on the game anymore. That was like earlier this year, which I do have a video out about that. You can go check that out. So this is obviously Saber Madrid. They're not working on the game anymore. It's moved over to Saber US, and, you know, big players or like a big shift happened where the game moved studios. So that's why, you know, my logo never made it into the game as an Easter egg, unfortunately. But I was asking him about, you know, the concern of the low player count back then. And he said, don't worry about players, in summertime all games go down. And he said, looks like for next year we will have Stranger Things. I'm on holiday right now. And so when he said that, and I was like, wow, okay, so we actually did it. We convinced the IP holders and everyone that Stranger Things can work in Evil Dead the game, and that we're going to get it next year, which is this year. But, you know, after that, I think something went horribly wrong over at Saber. I don't know what happened. From what I heard, they had like loads of hackers on their servers or something, or they had like a big intrusion in public chats and stuff, and, you know, a lot of stuff got leaked somewhere online. But yeah, something happened with this game mid-cycle, like mid-life cycle. I don't know what it was. I really don't, and I wish I knew, because it seemed like around October to January time, there was a lot of like weird silence going on. They stopped doing the dev streams, and obviously the game shifted studios, so it was a very bizarre thing to happen, and I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I've never really seen it happen in a video game before, where the game is kind of just completely shifted a studio like 6 months after it's been released. It's quite bizarre, and it's scary to think what could have happened for this. Like, it's scary to think what could have caused this to happen over at Saber. And yeah, I mean, that was the final message I got from him about the crossover. But, you know, there is one more message I want to talk about, and this is a really good one too, is that this was not the only crossover that was kind of in the plans for Evil Dead the game. Okay, so this was like a message regarding something else completely. I was asking him about a horde mode being added, but his response was, well, we want to make game modes and have many purpose, but IPs must decide if we make it or not. We cannot do more. MGM are very slow at actually making decisions. It cost me 6 months to validate the Battle Royale. Deadite versions of survivors and all Deadite units. More than 50 outfits. Chainsaw will be faster, but just a bit. Any change in the combat system cost me months of negotiation. So I was asking him if they were going to improve like the combat with a chainsaw and stuff. This is back on the 16th of June, by the way. And he said, movie companies are very hard to deal with. That's why movie games used to be bad. Stranger Things is also on the list. Lots of horror franchises asked Saber to make crossover in Evil Dead the game, but the IPs of Evil Dead must validate. So the fact that a lot of horror franchises have asked to crossover Evil Dead the game back then is crazy. And I wonder what these franchises were. I'm really certain this would have been maybe a Nightmare on Elm Street type of thing, or, you you know, Halloween, you know, things like that. That the potential there that we could have seen in this game is crazy. But, you know, due to the IP holders neglecting the constant amateur hour of Saber and how they acted with this game's lifespan, I can see why crossovers never really happened, especially if the game moved studios. So, you know, if they were talking to this guy and directly to this guy to make the content in the game, and then all of a sudden they're talking to someone else in the States, they're like, well, what's happened here? Why are you guys shifting the game to different studios? And, you know, if they had to be open and honest, saying like, oh, well, you know, stuff got leaked, and that's not going to look good towards IP holders there. But, and so, yeah, that's it. That's basically what I have to share about the Stranger Things crossover happening. I obviously owed you guys this video, and it's kind of nice to talk and get this out in the open here. And you guys can kind of see my side of things, of the frustrations of getting on stream every day, trying to create content for this game. And just always seeing what potential this game could have been, which is very frustrating. There's no other word for it. We almost had the perfect combat asim. It was so much fun, and the foundations were there to be something special. And it's just so unfortunate what happened with this game. It really is. I don't think anyone has any words to summarize what happened with this game. It's totally bizarre. I don't think we've ever seen a development team hate its player base more than what's happened with us right now. Even Bungie don't hate their fucking player base as much as this on Destiny. And it's just crazy. It is absolutely insane. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it to this day. I'm trying to wrap my head around the previous patch as well. When they nerfed Brock and, you know, try to nerf Ball randomly, and then they did that weird tweet of the level 22 player with a Cheryl build that is totally diluted. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. It's really sad for me to see this game go in such a horrible direction with just how good the franchise was. And I think Saber, as someone mentioned in my chat and my comments a few times, Saber were the right devs to make the game. They just weren't the right devs to support it, and I think that, you know, hits the nail right on the head there. There's loads of topic for discussion around Evil Dead the game still to be had, you know, even if that's in another podcast, or, you know, if I've put a question out there to you guys, and I'll happily do it on a podcast. But as far as playing the game and actually covering it, you know, I'm going to try and still do a stream a week if I can. I'm just having so much fun with TCM at the moment, where I'm just like, well, you know, if I go back to Evil Dead, and, you know, I might not just, you know, I played Evil Dead a little bit the other night, and, you know, I enjoyed playing the game still. It's just, when you're playing a game that just feels abandoned by its developers, you just kind of get this horrible feeling of like, well, this is pointless, you know, that type of thing. And it's unfortunate, because I didn't want that to happen. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative about the whole Stranger Things scenario and why I kept bringing it up so much. Leave me a like, hit that sub button for more Evil Dead content, TCM content, ASIM content, whatever. I'm covering a lot of horror stuff now on this channel, so you don't have to go anywhere else. I do stream on this channel as well, so you don't have to go and follow on Twitch or anything, because it's all on here. But anyways, I really want to hear your guys' opinions about the Stranger Things crossover, and what you guys think if it would have happened, what the potential of this game could have been. And, you know, just leave your frustrations down below, because, you know, I'm feeling the same thing as you guys are as well. And I'm sure you're all missing the Evil Dead content from me too. I miss covering the game, I really do. It's just mentally I can't do it. I mentally can't do it. It's unfortunate. But, you know, if I had the game where I could hop on and grind something worth grinding for every day, I'd play it. But I just don't have that. And when you just feel the abandonment there, while you're playing the video game, it's just, you can't enjoy it anymore. You just can't. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Pixels, and my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.